If you are working on your guitar playing, you're soloing, whether you're taking lessons from a private teacher or finding guitar resources online, you may have stumbled across the idea of playing through the changes. And if you've stumbled across that idea, you may have found the approach which says play arpeggios. Today we're going to talk about why arpeggios might be a good choice for soloing, how they can help you, and how you can actually go about putting it into your guitar playing. We have one tangible exercise to practice at the end of the video. So playing through the changes. This is the idea that each chord within the song has its own purpose, its own sound, its own tonality. And if we can play it as the chord changes go, then we can do a better job of telling the story of the song, keeping that progression, that flow going, and really just enhancing it and embellishing it, not just playing some licks and riffs that are, unrelated to the song that's happening. That's playing through the changes. Let's talk about why arpeggios are helpful. And let's do this really simply over one chord. What we're going to do is we're going to play this F triad, which is F, A, and C. Now, if you don't know that, that's fine. These are our notes. You can figure them out. These are the three notes in an F chord. And if you know the caged method, you probably recognize that's a C shape, and we're playing an F chord with it. So there's a backing track at the end of the video with a single F chord, but right now I'm going to use my looper pedal to lay down an F. Here we go, just these three notes. That's all we need, right? There's our F chord. So what I'm going to do is literally play those three notes over that chord. And it already sounds like music. It's simple. But it already sounds like music. I want you to think of this not as notes and root notes and our thirds and fifths and stuff, but as colors or as textures. These are our primary colors. These three notes are our primary colors, and they give us the essence of that chord. They are that chord. They put us in the direction of that chord. When that chord is playing, and I play those three notes, I am right in that chord. I'm right in the middle. If you know those notes in different positions of the neck, you can experiment with that too. But for the purpose of our exercise, we're going to stay right here so everything is really under our fingers. So those are our primary colors, and what this is going to do, it's going to give your ear a chance to really feel what is in that chord. What is the essence of that chord? So before you even go further in this video, pause it, throw an F on your looper, or jump to the end where the F backing track is, and just play those three notes and listen, just play those three notes and listen how they really feel like they are a part of the chord. Everything that comes next really relies on our ability to hear that this is right in the middle of that chord. All right, so if you paused, you worked on that a little, you're listening and you're like, man, this is okay, but it's kind of boring, right? We're kind of just playing the same thing. It's right down the middle of the road. I want to play something that's more interesting, that has more colors than the primary colors. I'm with you. And that's what we're going to do. One of the benefits of playing from the arpeggios is that it gives you that primary color sound, but it also allows you to step away from that primary color and back to it in a really tangible way. So what we're going to do is we're going to add one note. We're going to add the sixth note of the scale, or the 13, and that's going to be right here. It's a D note. It's on the 7th fret of the G string. And right away, if I play that, kind of lifts me up. My ear perks up a little bit. That's kind of interesting, right? When I play that over my F chord, it's going to add another element of color, of texture, of change. Check it out. Now, what I don't want to do is just abandon the arpeggio idea and just play that note, right? I'm starting to feel like it's a little lost. What I want to do is I want to have the context that the arpeggio is in and that note is out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a little arpeggio, add a little bit of that out note, and then come home to the arpeggio. Let's see how that sounds. Arpeggio, out, back in. You watch my face or when I'm going out in it. Right? Start to hear that? Experiment with that. Again, pause this video as many times as you need to add one note at a time. These are colors. If you mix all of the colors together, if you go to the end and you mix all the colors together before you know how to use them, before you can hear the difference between them, you're gonna get brown. So what we wanna do is we wanna introduce one color at a time, get a handle from what it sounds like, and then add another one to our color palette. Now, presuming you're doing that, you've paused the video, worked on it, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna keep going. So we're gonna add another color. Let's add the 9th, or the 2nd scale degree. So that's gonna be this note. It's a G note over an F. It's right here at the 5th fret of the 4th string. So I'm gonna play my arpeggio, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of that color, just the 2nd this time, and then we'll do the 2nd and the 13th. 9th and the 13th, 2nd, 6th, however you wanna think about it. It's a G. That's different, right? Kind of makes me play different, makes me feel different. Let's mix that G note, that 2nd, with the 6th note, the D. Starting to get more colors. Starting to happen. But what's interesting is that because I'm coming from the idea that I have an arpeggio and I'm adding things on top of it, I'm never losing the idea or the feeling that those F notes, those are our primary colors, that's our in the chord sound, and the other notes are the outside notes, right? So again, pause the video, experiment with those two notes. We're gonna go ahead and add the 7th. So that's gonna be an E natural. It's up here on the 5th fret of the B string. This one's a little bit more, you might feel like it's on the fence. You might feel like it's okay to land on that note, and that feels like a color tone. An easy way to think about this is that the chord tones are in, the extensions, which would be 9, 11, 13, are out, and then the 7th to me is like adding color to the primary colors. And 7th to me is kind of in the middle. You can make that a chord tone. Let's see what happens. Arpeggio only, and then we'll go to the 7. Ooh, that's immediately another color, but I don't need to move from it. I can kind of hang right on it. Let's add those other notes too. I have the 7th down here at the bottom of the octave. So I'm just playing around. I'm just experimenting with what those notes sound like, what those colors feel like. Some of them feel straightforward and obvious. Some of them feel ambiguous. Some of them feel a little bit dark and moody. Some of them feel bright and open. It's up to you to figure out how they sound, how you think they sound. But the reason to name them is so you can always find them. If you like the sound of the 7th, you know where to find it. If you like the sound of the 6th or the 2nd or whatever else, you know where to find it. Let's add another one. Let's add the sharp 11 or the sharp 4. So we're going to imply that this is actually the 4 chord in the key. You don't need to worry about that. We're going to add this note. It's a B. Right off the bat, whoa, that takes me way out. But in the context, it sounds pretty cool. Always coming back to those chord tones, right? So now we've added to the root third fifth, the 9th or the 2nd, the sharp 11 or the sharp 4, and the major 7 and the 6th. So we've played all of the diatonic notes for this key. Now, we're really saying that this is like in the key of C and that F is the 4 chord. We don't have to go crazy down that, but the idea is that simply because I started from an arpeggio, I added these tones in, I added these colors, and I'm able to keep the context of where we are, which is right here. Now here's why the arpeggio is valuable. Because if I had gone to a scale approach and I said, whoa, okay, here are all those notes in one scale pattern, I might have lost track of really where I was. So here's the same notes, but from a scale approach, and I'm going to lose track of that F chord. I kind of feel like everything's just getting cloudy and muddy. You can play scale run, but you might want to tie them into your arpeggio when you get to the end, right? So maybe something, a scale run combined with an arpeggio might sound something like this. So I use that chord tone to bring me back home, right? Or an arpeggio. I kind of moved away from that 5th fret position there for a moment, but you can do that if you know the notes. You don't have to. You can stay right here in your C shape or your 5th fret position F chord. Now, a bonus about what's cool with this approach is you can actually go a little bit farther than just the diatonic notes. So for F Lydian in the key of C, since I only have an F triad, I could imply that it's a dominant chord or it's a blues chord. I could add the flat 7. Let's do that. Let's use the flat 7. That's an E flat, and it's going to be at the 8th fret of the G string. And we're going to hear how that changes the character entirely. Sounds a little different, sounds a little darker, sounds a little funkier, sounds a little bluesier. You can add whatever notes you want depending on the context of what you're playing over. Since I'm only playing over an F triad, I have a lot more flexibility than playing over a 7th chord or some other chord. But because we came from an arpeggio approach, I was able to keep the context of what that F chord is and what those notes are on top of it. Are they primary colors? Are they adding color? And are they adding texture? So there's an F backing track, F only, that's coming up. What I want you to do is play these 3 notes. Get the feeling of what that F chord sounds like, that home, and then slowly, one by one, start to add the other notes that we talked about in. We have the G, which is the 2nd, the B natural, which is the sharp 11, the D, which is the 13, and the E natural. All right, well, hopefully you found this fun or interesting or helpful in some way. Check out that F backing track. It's about to start. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you liked the video, and tell me in the comments what you think of it and what you want to see next on the channel. So go practice your F and don't rush it. Start with those 3 notes and then add the other ones one at a time when you're ready. Thanks for watching.